Hi, welcome to my tutorial where I will show you how I created the laser eyes in Bolt Break. Alright, so now that we are inside Unreal Engine, what we want to do is the first thing we need to do is go and get into the project settings under Edit, Project Settings, create an input mapping so when we press a button it will enable the laser eyes. So let's go ahead and call this laser eyes and we're going to use the F key. So type in F and then find it on the drop down. Okay, so now we have a input mapping to the letter F. So when we go to the third person character, we can go in and we can right click anywhere and you type in laser eyes. So now we have a function that was created in here. Okay, so we're going to come back to that. But right now we need to go in and we need to create a few things. We need to create a material. Okay, call this M laser eyes. Okay, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to get a texture coordinate. You can press 3 on your keyboard and then left click, and it'll bring this up. And we're going to bring this in, and we're going to multiply this to make it more emissive. Then we're going to bring it into the emissive color. Okay, you want to right click, and type in constant. And now what this is going to do is it's going to take this number and add it onto this, or multiply it onto this. So we're going to make this red, because a lot of laser eyes are red. So we'll do that. And then we need to, as you can see, it's not emissive yet. So we need to set a number in here. So we're going to do 25. We're going to do 25. There we go. Now it's emissive. All right. And so now what we need to do is we need to create an actor. All right. So now what we need to do is we need to go to the skeleton of the character, which in this case it's under mannequin character mesh, but this could be different in your own project. And then we're going to go into the skeleton, and we're going to find the head. So we're going to find the head, okay, and we are going to right-click it and click Add Socket, okay, and we're going to name this, we're going to rename this Eye Socket L, okay, and then what we're going to do is move this over to where the left eye would be. So you probably would have one on your own mesh, but on the Unreal Mannequin it would be about right here. Okay, and then we want to create another one. I'm going to call this eye socket. I'm going to call this eye socket. Oops, there it is. All right, eye socket R. Okay, and so now this one we need to do the same thing. Bring it out with the drag. Bring it up. Okay, and then bring it over. And then we need to bring it down to line it up properly. Yep. All right. So now we've got these are going to be the spawn points. These are going to be where the laser is spawned from. So now what we need to do is we need to create something to actually spawn. So in this case, we're going to go back to the third-person BP blueprints where the laser eyes were, and we're going to right-click and create what's called actor class under blueprint. And what this is going to do is we're going to name this BP laser eyes, and this is going to allow us to create the actual laser itself. Okay. Now, in most cases, you want to use a particle for this. That's going to be more optimized than this in most cases. However, for this tutorial, I am going to be using just a sphere. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch it out. So we're going to stretch it down, shorten it. You'll see here in a second what I'm doing. I'm going to shorten it, and then there we go. Might be best to build this in Blender, to be honest. Alright, so we're going to bring this up. That should be good for this tutorial. This is not the most optimized way to do it, but in lieu of particles, this is the next best option. So, so I turned off snapping up here. Up here I turned off snapping on the scale, so we can scale it more properly. Because otherwise it would be in 25% increments. So we want to, there we go. And now this, there we go. Alright. And so now what we need to do is we need to bring this up. Okay. And then we are going to bring this up even more. Okay. And then here is our laser eyes. So these are going to be the lasers. So they do have a max distance. However, you can use a particle to bypass that. But I will let you make your own particle. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a box collider to this. So box collision. Okay. And we are going to scale this up. Okay. There we go. Yep. Okay. And this will let you overlap objects. Now for the tutorial, we're not going to be overlapping anything. However, you would need this for something like overlapping. So now what we want to do is for the box collider, we need to set it to overlap all dynamic, which is good. That's what we want. And then we want to go in and go back to the mesh and set that material that we created here, the M laser eyes. And so now when we go into the material, M laser eyes, remember this is on the mesh itself. The RR, I named it RR, I'm going to rename that. Mesh. Okay. Alright, so now, as you can see, we actually have a laser. And what's cool about it is it like tips. Like it's shorter at the end and thicker in the beginning. That's really cool. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to spawn this actor inside of our character. So what we need to do is we need to, on the press, we need to spawn actor from class. Okay, and we need to get on this transform, get socket transform mesh. Okay, and now in this socket name, this is something you have to type in. So what you want to do is you want to go back to your skeleton and you want to rename, Control C it so it can copy it, and then paste that in there. And now what it's going to do is going to tell Unreal to spawn it on this particle socket. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to get laser eyes. I named it BP laser eyes. So that's the actor right here. This is this actor. So we spawn this. Okay, and then we are going to promote this to a variable because we're going to have to call this multiple times later. So we're going to call this laser eyes left. Laser eyes L. We'll call this laser eyes L. Okay. And then we're going to basically duplicate this code. So we are going to duplicate this code. So right click, Control C, Control V. Okay. And then we are going to do this on iSocket R. Let me get the actual. Okay. For some reason it's not letting you type in a capital R. So there we go. Alright, copy pasted it in. Alright, so now we need to create a second variable. So this is the first one. And actors can be variables. So you know that. So promote it again. We'll call this one, because this is a different one, laser eyes R. Yeah. So these two are different actors. So make sure you understand that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to, on released, we need to destroy it. Because what this is going to do is, and then, so we get destroy actor, so on release we get destroy actor, and then we get laser eyes L, and laser eyes R. I think we can get both. Yeah, so we can get both at the same time. Okay, so now what's going to happen is when you press this, okay, it's going to spawn the laser eyes at the left socket, which is right here, or over here, okay, and then it's going to promote that to a variable that we'll call here, and it's going to spawn a second one inside the eye socket R, and these can be particles. I'm using a mesh, but you can use particles, please. I'm going to create that variable and call it over here as well. So now if we go in game, alright, so if we go in game, so you see how it's like sideways, right, and it's not spinning with the character? So we're going to fix that real quick. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to make the mesh, okay, we need to use, or I'm sorry, under third person self, we need to use yaw. So type in yaw and use controller rotation. Yaw, alright, that's good. And then what we need to do is we need to update this. So there was actually, wait, there was one more thing we need to do. So you see how it's pointing sideways? We need to fix that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the skeleton, okay, and we're going to rotate these. We are going to rotate these sockets, because that's where they're spawning off of. Okay, so we are going to turn this, so it's going to the left, we're going to turn this to the right a little bit, about 60 degrees probably. And then, yeah, so that should be good. Okay. Still a little far, so we're going to do it a little more. This is kind of just a trial and error. We're going to do it some more. Okay. That is better, but it's still a little, okay. Okay, so here we go. So you can see it in there. I'm going to move the camera up so you can see it better. Okay, so now you can see how it's coming off the eyes, right? However, it's not moving with the eyes. So we need to fix that. And this is on button hold. Okay? So we need to go in and we got the laser eye code working, but what we need to do now is we need to tell it how to update the location of it all the time. So there's a couple ways you could do this. You could do this on event tick. However, that's going to be very expensive on performance. So I'm going to show you the more optimized way of doing this. So we want to create what's called a timeline. Okay, so we're going to, on begin play, we're going to create a timeline. So we're going to type in timeline, click add timeline. Okay, we're going to call this laser eyes update. This is a little more optimized than doing it on the event tick. So we're going to, 1, loop this, and 2, create an added float track inside the timeline. So if you don't see the screen, double click on the timeline you just created. Okay, so once you have that, we want to create a start point. So we want to add a key to curve float 0 at 0. Okay, and then we want to create a key at add key curve float. Somewhere about 1 should be fine. And then we want to add another one here at about 2. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to go and adjust these values to 0 on here, and over here we want to adjust this to about probably 0.025. There we go. So now this isn't, you don't really need to know what this does, but basically it will take this timeline and it will read it, and every time it reads it, it updates. And so on that update, we're going to get the actor location and rotation. Get actor, or hold on. So we need to get laser eyes L. Okay, so get the laser eyes L actor from over here, and we need to get actor location. Okay, and then set actor location and rotation. So we're going to do this all in one node. Okay. So we also need to get the actor rotation. Okay. So from the laser eyes L, you get the actor location and the actor rotation, and you set it using the set node of it. Okay. And so then we're going to set it one more time in here. So we can just use this one right here for 3 different things. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to do this a second time, because remember, we have 2 lasers that are spawning. Location and rotation, alright. And then we're going to do laser eyes R. And we are going to get the actor location again. Get actor location. And what it's going to do is every like, I wouldn't say second, but every time that float updates, it's going to update the rotation and the location, because that's what we want to do. Because otherwise it's going to be stuck in the same spot, and if you move the character, it's not going to move with it. Okay, so now if we got we need to compile this. So we have the code for spawning it. You can add sound effects and particles to this if you want, but and then on begin play, we have what's going to update the location and rotation of it. So now if we go test this, okay, should be updating. Okay, so it's not updating, so let's try to figure that out. Okay, so we actually messed up somewhere. Or I messed up somewhere. Okay, so I know what happened. Okay, so I was calling it on laser eyes to get the actor location. However, I don't want to do that. I want to get the socket location of the mesh. Okay, so get socket location. Okay, and then we're going to do this again with the rotation. Socket rotation. Okay, and then we're going to get the laser eyes L, and we're going to put that in the target. That's the thing that needed the target. And then we're going to get the is valid laser eyes L. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to get the socket name again. Okay. Alright, and then we need to get the, let's copy. We need a second to fix it over here too. Okay, so get the mesh, which like we did right over here. We're going to get socket location. Okay, and then socket rotation. Okay, we're going to replace that with the same name because it's spawning on that location. Alright, and then we're going to get the laser eyes R. Okay, we're going to put that into the is valid node to make sure we don't get those null pointers. Alright, and now we just need to copy this over here. Okay, so it should work now. We should be able to test it. Okay, yep, the laser eyes are working.